Okay, their side, please come down, you boys and girls from their side. Come down. Ask. Santosh sir, where are you? Please, you stay as the one that word. Grade 10, I can't see there. Class 8, you are inside the class. Are you?
Jawani ma